Jeez. Okay. And we're going. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Seriously?
Guys, hang in there. We'll be live in just a minute. We'll get started. Okay.
Having a glitching moment. It's just going to take I have to restart the stream. Stand by. And there's no one right behind you, Pamela. So you just, go till whatever and then just sign off.
Sounds good. Skylar's joining us.
Oh,
Sweet baby girl. Hi. What is she doing?
who's that?
Skylar.
Skylar.
Yeah, she's purring.
Oh. I miss cats. I've had dogs for so long, but the cat energy is such a
different. Yeah, it's a totally different animal.
My dog is not comforting, but it's just a different vibe. Really.
It is very different.
He's sitting here listening to me. He heard that.
Yeah.
You're very comforting.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. Okay.
We're ready.
Okay.
Stand by.
All right. I cannot see you right now.
Call in to live News for the Soul shows daily for intuitive coaching, readings, numerology, leading edge health information, and much, much more with featured hosts from around the world. Go to newsforthesoul.com to join the next live show now. That's newsforthesoul.com.
Hear all of our previously aired broadcasts of News for the Soul online at newsforthesoul.com. Now let's get back to the show.
Next on News for the Soul Radio, it's time for Perfectly Holistic with Pam. Pam is a cat mom and holistic health seeker who, after suffering an injury that wouldn't heal, was led on a journey to seek out alternative, holistic, and natural medicine. She now shares what she learned, helping people and their cats along their path to holistic health. Pam has taken courses in holistic health for animals, muscle testing, and animal communication. Please welcome Pam. Back to News for the Soul.
Welcome back to the Perfectly Holistic Radio Show. We apologize for the little technical glitches we were experiencing there at the beginning, but thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I am joined here with my little one, Skylar, if anyone's wondering who that is. And I have special guests in the house, and I'm so excited to introduce my friend Flo from Crude Carnivore. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a really cool topic we're going to discuss and dive in on tonight. And we're going to talk a lot about cats, but we're also, what we discuss is also going to be helpful for all you dog parents out there too. So Flo, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I feel bad because I have only dogs behind me, but I do have cats too. I am a cat mom as well.
She is a cat mom. I can verify that because I've helped Colby, one of her kitties. He's adorable orange tabby. So I love to dive into nutrition and the benefits of just things that we can add to the diet that are super healthy and like superfoods. And, because if we get the nutrition right, which is the foundation of pet health in general, if we can get that right, and if we can even get it great, we set our pets up for so much more success than if we miss that, we're in trouble. Yeah. So what I always like to start with is just, I want to know your origin story. And I think people remember stories more than facts and details sometimes, So let's talk about, how did you get into, did you wake up one day and said, you know what, I'm just going to start making bone broth and open a company and sell bone broth to pet parents?
Not really. I mean, it kind of came that way, but there's a background to it. So
yeah.
I've always loved animals. I have always wanted to be a vet of some sort or work in rehabilitation and kind of like healing with dogs and horses. Okay. And we've always had, family pets growing up, and I was always the dog walker and the feeder and doing all the things. And I rode horses my whole life. And, but yeah, so I was hoping to go to vet school, but I just never really pursued that. I kind of felt like it was just too much schooling. And now I look back and I'm like, oh, I should have done it. But yeah, so I got my undergraduate degree in animal production, which is something that we can talk about here in a little bit too, is just very interesting on what you learn there, but how it actually is, and how I look at it now, being as I am really holistically involved in making sure that every animal, whether it's our dogs and cats or the animals that we are sourcing from, live a good life and have, proper treatment.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, so that was my undergraduate degree. And I was like, I really wanted to go into rehabilitation and massage. So it wasn't necessarily even something that I was going to really do anything with. And as I was graduating, I spoke to one of my professors and he said, we have an opportunity for a master's degree in nutrition. At this point,
Wow.
it did not click how much nutrition and rehabilitation would coincide. I was just like, I'll just do this, get a high paying job somewhere like Purina, and I'll just pay my way to get this program and certification to be able to do the rehabilitation and massage and that type of work. And so at that time, it just literally did not in my head have anything to do with each other. So then 2 months into my master's degree, I found a local natural pet supply store, and that is where I started working, and it completely changed my passion, my path, everything. I started seeing pet parents coming in with, their dogs were itching all the time and they were struggling and they didn't want to eat. And, what can we do to try to improve their diet? And it just kind of grew there. At the time, this pet store was just a different, it still is, but at the time it was just so different because the dry foods that they carried were so different and made with different ingredients and completely different than your corn, soy, wheat base. And raw food was at this time in our area rurally just not at all a thing. Like you'd have to speak to somebody for 45 minutes and then you'd still get I'll think about it. And so I got very, very much into that. And I read so many books and I just tried to learn as much as I could because I just was like, this is insane. Like it's just something that came so naturally to me and was just so much fun for me to explore. And I grew that store's raw sales within 1 year by 107%. I got like super dove into it and just like completely took it over. And we slowly went from 1 freezer to 2 to 3 to 4.
Yeah.
It just was something that it's that type of information that I can read and I can just like, or listen to it and it just sits with me. Like, I just love it. And I don't know. I was given a gift, I feel like, to be able to contain that information and memorize that information. And I love it. So all that to say, I spent 7 years managing this store and doing nutrition consultations for cat parents and dog parents and helping them even just find, better dry food options if that was where they were at. Just kind of meeting people where they are, but also at the same time trying to gently educate into the direction of what will help their pet live the longest, healthiest life.
Yeah.
And so doing all that, at the time, I felt like there wasn't really any raw foods on the market that were truly like fresh, from meat to package. Like they were all processed of some sort.
Yep.
But I literally was like, I just don't know how I would do that. There was just no way for me to I just couldn't. It was too big.
Yeah.
So I thought, what's the one thing that I feel like I can encourage somebody to do that's easy, that's straightforward, that makes the biggest difference? And to me, it was moisture. Even when people started adding water to the bowl, it made a huge difference. And so I thought, oh my gosh, we could do a broth. And then I was like, but it can't just be a normal broth. There's already 3 or 4 broths at the time. And I said, it can't be the same. It has to be different. And so that's where the herb infusion came from. So I was like, we have to find some herbs that do gently help our dogs and cats detox from day-to-day living because they're exposed to so many things. And so that's where the dandelion, parsley, and thyme concoction came about. And I literally pulled the crock pot out from under the counter. I ran to the butcher shop, got some bones, threw them in the crock pot, gave it to my dogs because I was like, maybe they won't even want it because of the herbs. And they loved it. And so that all started in like February was like the idea. May was like sampling and like starting the company. And then August we were selling at that store where I worked.
Oh,
wow. So yeah, so that kind of just started as like a side thing. And I was, working after work and on the weekends and doing all the stuff. And we launched chicken and we launched pork, and all of them are still to this day sourced from pasture raised animals. And most of them all come from Southern Illinois. And yeah, so now we have 8 proteins and we're going to be 6 in August. And I fully retired from my job at the store in 2023 in August. And
here you are.
And here I am.
I'm working in the pet space. I love it how the universe like sometimes surprises us, and we're on this happy trajectory thinking we're going one way, and all of a sudden it's like, nope, we're gonna go this way now. And then it feels like you were always meant to be there.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I actually have that with where I live. I live in a very small town. I met my husband, he's from here, and I just am like, I live here, like what are we doing? But there was always a plan for me to be here and for me to grow my business here and to do what I do in this area. So I truly highly believe that there's always like a plan for everything to work out a certain way. It may feel really hard in the moment sometimes and like, but yeah, it's been good.
Did you ever have any of those moments like that, those hard moments where you're like, what the hell am I doing? How did I get myself into this?
I will say probably the last 6 months for me have finally been more solid, where I'm like, okay, we're actually growing. Like we're actually like, this is going to be something that we can take up. Before that, and they usually say it takes 5 years, which I'm just realizing that's pretty much what happened. That's so weird. So it was definitely consistently I could do so many other things that would be so much easier. I could just work a 9 to 5. It would be so much easier. I could just, work for another company and formulate for them or be a sales rep for someone else. Like I know the industry, I could do something for someone else. I know all these other brands and I feed all these products. I could do something else with someone else. So I don't have to have all this responsibility. And that though, then that's also too weird. Like I just can't, and I always will wonder what if I just kept going. And so that in my head keeps me going. And also at this point now having so many people who just rely on our products. And my goal has always been to try to make as much of a difference in as many bowls as possible. And I feel like we're doing that slowly. And I would love to get back to like the nutrition consultation and like that conversation of like people just learning about fresh feeding, because there's still so many people who can, benefit from that and learn from that. And hopefully eventually we will. There's been so many hiccups, so many things that have happened that we've had to go through and grow through, and that I thought was going to shut us down. And I think back and it's again one of those things, like I had to do those things to get to where we are. I would have never learned. We would have never been able to, produce on the level that we are now. And I mean, we're still super tiny. We produce 70 bottles at a time. Like we have 4 pots going at the same time, but each one only does 6 cases. So it's still really little. And I don't know how we're going to do that, keeping, moving forward. Eventually we'll have to get bigger pots, but yeah, there's definitely times that I've wanted to give up. And one thing I think that's the hardest, and other business owners can probably relate to that, is keeping yourself motivated to get up and do it, to go to work and do the thing, even though you want to do something else, and to go and bottle the broth and go and pack the orders and just consistently have the routine. And that is something that I've always struggled with anyway. So I think that in the small business sense is probably the hardest thing. Most of the time I'm like, I can't believe this is what I do for a living. I literally make bone broth for a living. What?
No, it's true. So what gets you up every day?
I mean, my animals.
That's so true. That's
Yeah.
so true.
I mean, they're like my only one that really loves to sleep and doesn't even want to get out of bed is Hurley. She's my first. She's laying by my feet. She was my, oh, she's right here. Oh, this one.
Okay. Aw.
That's Hurley girl and Marvin and Amiga and Stone, all my dogs. Yeah, they get me up because they have to go potty. So,
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much what gets me up in the morning. I would love to be somebody who can get back to like a 6:30 a.m. morning routine and get like a slow morning. FedEx though shows up at like 11, so I have to be up and packing orders and getting in there. So we're working on it. It's not a perfected thing, and I also try not to be as hard on myself because my brain does not shut off. So if I don't start work till 10, then that's just how it is. If I don't work one whole day, then that's mine too. So it's, gotta have some grace for yourself, I think.
Well, that, and you have to find a way to balance, because as an entrepreneur, I struggle with the same thing. It's like personal time, work time. How do you make that balance so that it's not all work time and like no time left for me or the cats or whatever? Because it's very easy to get just so tunnel vision and focused on servicing clients and, doing the orders and doing sessions, and in your case, making bone broth. Look at the baby. Hello, Marvin. So yeah, it can be very challenging, especially because we have such a passion to help these pets, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't go away. And when you're not in it every day, it's wonderful to take a step back and just have that downtime, which we definitely all need for balance.
Yeah.
But then you start to feel like, oh my gosh, I really have to be back in there because I have all these people counting on me. They're, like you said, you have all these pet parents that you're now supporting through an amazing product, and they're counting on that. So
yeah, and it's also what also gets like I have most people that are so kind and polite and they are like, I totally get it. But there's a lot of people who think we are this like huge factory company and they think we're going to ship product to them in like 2 days. And, I have like a 5-day turnaround time because I can't.
Yeah.
It's me. I can't. And for a long time, I was really hard on myself about that. I was like, I have to get it out. I have to get it out. I have to get it out. And I just am now at the point where if you order on a Thursday and it ships Tuesday, that's fine. And it just becomes, it's very easy to listen to, other people's expectations of you and completely like lose yourself in that instead of understanding that it's okay to have the ship time that you have and to just make sure people know about it. And there's definitely so much pressure with it that you have to kind of learn to balance out. And, all you can do is your best, and you can just try to be open and communicate with people. And then it just becomes the point too, where there's certain people that have higher expectations. And if that doesn't fit, then that's just not the customer for you, So it's okay to let it go. And it's okay to, what's meant for you will be for you. And
yes.
I think that's kind of the energy that I'm like carrying with myself this year, especially. And there's been times when we've thought about like, manufacturing out and like having someone produce our product for us, and it didn't work out. And I would like beat myself up about it and think it's us or something. But I'm like, no, this is just literally not lining up. Like it's not supposed to be. And that perspective in work and even relationships and everything is just like, if it's not happening naturally and if it's chaotic and if it's stressful or if it's, causing you distress about something or insecurity, then it's probably not the thing that you want to follow. And that has changed everything. Like it just allows me to trust myself. It allows me to trust the process. I know that if it's meant to be, then it'll be a pretty simple
Yes.
one step to the next kind of thing.
Yeah. Like
So,
you're not trying to swim uphill. You're just going to flow. It's just flowing.
yeah. I mean, it's not easy, but there's certain things that shouldn't be hard. Like certain things, especially working with other people together, manufacturing or something like that, it shouldn't be where you feel misunderstood or where you feel like you're a problem or something like that. Like it should just merge together and be a good working thing. And it's so easy, I think, to come from a place of like insecurity. But anybody listening to this that is in that type of situation, like if it's too hard and you feel like you're working really hard at it, it's probably maybe there's a reason that it's not going to work and that it's so hard, because either you're learning something and it'll work out, or it's literally just not meant to be for you. So yeah,
that's a great message. That's a great message for all of our pet parents. You know, sometimes when we're just swimming against the current.
Yeah, there you go. I know what you're trying to say.
You know, we have to make sure we put ourselves in the current. We're flowing. When we're not doing that in life, whatever that looks like, it can be very, very hard. I think that's a sign for us to just step back and go, just pay attention.
Yeah, and that's even with, don't you feel like that's also with like anything though? That's even with like what vet you work with anything. Like it can be from, I don't know, the smallest things to bigger things like that. You know, it's
absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely. So let's talk about some of your recipes.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, some people may not even understand why we use bone broth. Like what are the benefits of bone broth?
Yeah.
I mean, because we cook with it as humans, we make soups or whatever, but some people are just not really clear on why we should even be giving it to pets. Is it harmful with all the herbs in it? You know what I'm saying? So, so let's talk about some of these. What are the benefits of using bone broth?
So I always do this every time I get asked this question. I'm like, hold on, let me gather my thoughts. So primarily what I recommend bone broth for, and I will say that I know we are, primarily going to, it's more about cats, but these benefits that I speak of go for your cats, your dogs, for yourself. Like they are universal. So I may say dog, cat, but they go always. So primarily, I recommended it in the beginning for just hydration purposes, especially for dry feeders, because dry food goes so against the nature of our pets. I like to say it's like us eating sardines. Oh my gosh, saltines every day.
Right.
It's like eating saltines every day, and you know how much you dehydrate when you're eating saltines. Like your mouth gets really dry. You can barely eat like 5 at a time, and you need something to flush that down. Now, our dogs and cats especially, are so much more sensitive to that, and their diet should consist of like 75 to 85% moisture.
Right.
And that is what their natural diet in the wild would consist of. And yes, they have evolved some, and yes, they survive on the food with no moisture in it. However, they don't thrive on it. And there's definitely, a dog may live 16 years on a dry food. However, they could live probably 22 years if they were properly nourished.
Yes.
So the first benefit is always hydration. And if that is something that doesn't fall in the budget, I always recommend using filtered water. And especially if you have big dogs, if you have like a dog that's 75 pounds, that's a lot of broth to feed. With cats, thankfully, you have smaller, they're smaller, and you don't have to, feed a whole bottle a day. But some dogs are really big. And so I typically recommend hydrating like 3/4 of the way with water. If you feed 3 cups of dry food, add 2 cups of filtered water, and then add like your 4 to 6 tablespoons of broth on top, because you really want to hydrate, but you're going to empty your wallet, like trying to, it's just not going to work. So, but with cats, if you are feeding dry and you have cats that are like really picky and they're imprinted and they do not want to come off of that, you can try to feed it for hydration purposes as an appetizer to kind of like soothe the gut and get the gut ready to take that food in. But honestly, ideally, that moisture has to be bound into the dry food if that is all you feed. But that can be tricky too, which you probably have dealt with this quite a bit. Just introducing that and letting, cats can be kind of picky in that regard. So you may have to start out with like a drop and, work your way up. I have some cats that love it, and I have some cats that won't touch anything if it's got broth on it. So it just depends on your cat. So hydration is huge. But like I said, that can be achieved with water. However, then where the bone broth comes in is that you have so much collagen in bone broth. And collagen makes up like 30% of our entire protein structure in our body. And so when you are like literally giving bone broth, you're literally fueling the body with what it's made of. And that enters like Chinese traditional medicine, Chinese energetics, like supports like. So you're literally giving the body what it is made of so that it can utilize that to lay down repairs, to lay down new tissues, to fix whatever's broken. And different broths do different things, which we can get into that as well. There's different types of collagen and different types of broth. And but yeah, so the collagen is super important. And collagen is actually resistant to digestion, which is really cool. So it actually will go through the digestive lining in an intact form, and it can kind of function as like a hormone in the body. And what it'll do is actually activate these fibroblasts to be laid down in joint tissue, ligaments, tendons. So it is extremely helpful for joint support and general like body support. However, it also can help with gut lining support. So a lot of dogs and cats consume a dry food, which is really stressful, really damaging on the gut. It causes so much inflammation. And so we need to plug that back up. So by the damage, I mean like it'll stretch and open the little hole, like open the holes in the digestive lining, which will allow things to pass that are not supposed to pass. And there will be so much stress at those tears.
Yes.
The inflammation just continues, and it requires more water to heal that and more hydration to heal that. And it goes all over the body. And so we really need to supply ways to heal that back up. And bone broth can do that in just 7 to 10 days. It's crazy.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah,
that's an easy it's an easy fix because it's coming from an animal. It probably, it would taste good to most pets, I would think, versus if you're trying to fight your cat to get supplements in them, you may want to try considering bone broth and for some of these health benefits for gut healing and gut soothing and gut lining repair and restoration, things like that.
Yeah. And if you have a cat or a dog that has been on dry food or has had antibiotics, steroids, any of those things, there is going to be damage. And you don't necessarily even have to feed it every single day. But I definitely would say, feeding it most of the month is what I would recommend. Some people recommend not to feed it every day. I recommend it every day, just because it's just so healing and the damage can continue. So, if you continuously consume, damaging food, the damage it just continuously is the cycle that doesn't go away.
Right.
So yeah, the collagen is definitely part of like probably the second biggest benefit that I see. And then the next part is that there's so many readily available amino acids. So amino acids are protein building blocks, and they are in a usable form. So when we simmer our broths, they're simmered at a lower temperature, under 200 degrees for 36 hours at least. And it releases, and we use apple cider vinegar in all of our formulations except for mushroom. But the apple cider vinegar breaks down the proteins and the nutrients in the bones and then the plants, and they release it to the broth. And then that is what your pet is consuming. And so they go into the body, and they're like little handyman, and they go around and they're just able to just jump in wherever and be utilized. So, any repair that is needed wherever in the body, they will go to work and are ready to go pretty much. So, but one of the main amino acids that I love and that is so important is glycine.
Yeah.
And glycine is extremely important for liver support. So the liver can only do as much as glycine is available to it. So its capability is kind of limited to how much glycine is accessible. So high protein does so well for us humans, but it has to be in a usable form. So, and that's why bone broth is also great. We can talk about it a little bit in depth for like kidney patients and liver patients because it's in such a usable form.
Yep.
But that glycine is responsible for glutathione production in the liver. And glutathione is the number one antioxidant in the body. So it's the one thing that like the body uses to fight off any disease and illness. And so the bone broth provides the glycine, which allows glutathione to stay up, and that will help your dog and cat be so much stronger and have such a stronger immune system.
Yes.
So you have like the gut heat, you have the hydration, which reduces inflammation as well. You have the gut, the collagen coming in to heal the gut. You have the glycine coming in to help produce glutathione. You're literally just like so supporting the gut and the immune system that way because we're really targeting healing, reducing inflammation with hydration, and then also bringing in that antioxidant. So you just are like completely boosting bodily function in the end.
Right. No, and I think this is really important. If you guys out there have senior cats, especially, this is wonderful to use daily, even if it's just a tablespoon, once or twice a day in your cat's food. Remember, they don't eat very much. They're not like 70-pound dogs. So just adding a little bit of that is awesome for senior pets because it just gives them that additional joint support, or especially if they're getting, if you see them kind of struggling a little bit getting up and their mobility is a little off because, they're old people in fur. Basically, they're little angels in fur, but they're older, so they struggle a little bit sometimes. But even for like cats who've had like ongoing immune system challenges throughout their life, this is a no-brainer. You just add it. You cannot. I don't think you can go wrong in bone broth. But this is where some people come and kind of go, ooh, but what about? Let's talk about the herbs. Like,
oh yeah. I actually had this question, but it was for a dog actually this weekend in an email about dandelion and how dandelion can cause vomiting and upset stomach and all these other things and how it acts as a natural diuretic. And I have yet to see that with any of our broths in 6 years. Somebody has said that is a symptom, but it also comes down to properly formulating the product. So, you can't overload it. So we're not creating a bitter, we're not creating a tincture. We are simply just infusing with, healthy amounts of herbs that will benefit the body. And so for cats, the primary question I actually get is like phosphorus content and kidney disease. And there has been to my knowledge, no issue with how much herbs we use and that it's actually negatively impacting. I actually have a lady who orders like a whole case of rabbit every month and her cat almost died. And our rabbit broth got him through it. And he literally drinks a quarter cup of that a day.
Wow. That's amazing.
So she goes through quite a bit of broth. And I think that when done properly, these herbs will just support the body. They will support the body in what it is meant to do. Dandelion helps gently flush the liver. It does act as a natural diuretic. So that helps. That pretty much just means it is moving toxins out.
It's supporting the lymphatic system, which is part of your detoxification and supporting the immune system and removing toxins from the body. So dandelion is a very, very, very important herb that we can put into these kinds of foods.
Yeah, I definitely love it. And it just also has just like great amounts of vitamins and minerals and potassium. It is just an all around. It's also actually an appetite stimulant. So
Nice.
it can help, encourage and entice, which is so interesting to me because it's also pretty bitter. Like if you were to make it a tea, it was kind of more bitter, but it's it has caused no issue in that sense. And then parsley is the other one in most of our formulations, and it is a great blood filtration herb.
Yes.
So it also removes some toxins out of the blood. And then we have thyme as well, which also acts as a natural diuretic and is also an antiseptic and also great for oral health. So those three together are just kind of like a good synergistic system to help remove toxins out of the body. And dandelion is also actually like nature's antihistamine. It kind of helps reduce histamine buildup in the liver, which especially in dogs is so crucial when you're living in areas where there's seasonal allergies. Or I like to call them sensitivities. And, in those cases, it can really just help reduce that. And that is how our broth has, in some instances, helped dogs reduce the side effect of the symptom of itching when it comes to seasonal allergies or environmental sensitivities. And so I wouldn't have a concern with, they're formulated for dogs and cats to be safe. And, of course, every animal is different, but they're not in a sense like formulated to where it's like overpowering and where they should cause any type of upset or vomiting or anything like that.
Yeah, and plus they're not, like you said, it's not an excessive quantity of herbs, and they're infused into this mixture. They probably, I don't know, cats probably don't even taste them. They're not going to be so overwhelming by taste that they would be a turnoff or whatever, because the broth is the primary ingredients, right? So
and that was what my answer was. Here's the little kitty.
That
was what my answer was.
Hi, buddy. Oh, hi. Oh my gosh, I just saw the word Sylvester in my head.
Oh, really? Ow! My hand literally has scratches all over it from him. He's
oh my god,
just wild man.
Oh, sweet.
This is the one that just showed up on our porch like this big, and he's going to a new home next week.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. But sorry, he interrupted.
No, that's okay. I was going to ask you, besides those three herbs, are there other herbs that you use in your infusions?
Yes. So we actually have, so this is kind of how we started. And my vision is to actually, on one hand, I want to build out some of the formulas to kind of fall more in line with like the Chinese energetics of the proteins that we have, so that when you have a cold natured pet, that if a lamb broth, that all the herbs
that are
coincide with that, so that we're actually warming. Or vice versa, like if we're going into cooling, that all the herbs actually cool. But then you can also go into the direction of like, okay, but this protein is better for gut healing, so we want to find gut healing herbs. So I'm kind of stuck in that right now, where I'm trying to figure out how I want to improve the formulas to kind of fall in line with that a little bit more. And then I also have people who are like, are you going to make purely only bone broth without anything in it? And I get that too. It's happened very rarely, but there's some pets that just have a sensitivity to dandelion, or there's just something that they can't have. So for them, we do have the bison bone broth, which is the newest one. And it is made with Brussels sprouts, cilantro, oregano, I can't ever think, reishi, shiitake mushrooms. So that one is a really great kind of anti-cancer broth, but it's great for general immune system. Reishi mushrooms are phenomenal for the immune system, and Brussels sprouts are great as well. They are, anti-cancerous. So those are great as well, but they have like the mushroom component to it, but that's the one that doesn't have the different types of herbs. So this one just has oregano and cilantro, which pets are less likely to be sensitive to because they're not in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And cilantro is also great blood detoxifier. Oregano acts as that anti septic, kind of gentle diuretic in the body as well. So we're kind of hitting on those things still, but I do have some customers who are like, my dog cannot have these herbs or whatever. Now my other cat is in the window and he wants inside. And yeah, and so those, are still going to have the benefits. But yeah, so that's that broth. And yeah, some customers just can't do the other herbs, so that's a great option for them. And then we have the mushroom broth, which is no meat at all. It's no bones. It's purely just log grown shiitake mushrooms, lion's mane, and oyster. And I primarily picked these because of my dog Hurley. She's my old girl. And I have been giving her lion's mane for a few years, and I just love the cognitive support and the nerve protection in it that they give. And it's so cool to me because they actually look like a brain.
Yes.
So it's just really cool.
Yes.
And then there's shiitakes in there, and they're log grown, and they're just 2 hours from here. So they come and deliver to my house, which I love. And we do the oysters as well. So great immune support in those. And then there are carrots and celery in there, mostly for taste. They have great, vitamin A and some nutrients as well. But that's primarily what they're in there for. Because that was the one I was concerned about. I was like, I don't know how this is going to go over. But it has actually been a huge hit with dogs and cats.
Nice.
And we do have a little bit of garlic in there. It's very minimal. I think we use 3 little bundles, whatever you call them, in the entire pot. It's a huge pot. So it's minimal. That's something that people have been concerned about too with cats is the garlic, I don't know. And it's actually so good for the circulatory system. All the cats, they are. Hi, Kim Kim.
Yeah. No, guys, garlic is not harmful like this in bone broth. It is.
Yeah.
There's so many medicinal properties and health benefits.
Yeah.
We're not overfeeding garlic, so you don't have to worry about that. I do have a question over here. Marcella says, maybe you can. How many different types of bone broth can you tell us the flavors that you have?
We have 8 different ones. So, and we're planning a couple more for this year. So we'll see.
Which flavors are they? She was like chicken, beef.
Oh yeah. So we have beef, pork, chicken, lamb, turkey, rabbit, mushroom, and bison.
Oh, nice. Okay. And she says, are any particular of the berries that you just listed, are any of those better versions for IBD, pancreatitis, or liver inflammation? What would you recommend?
Okay, so this is where kind of the breakdown comes in of the different collagen types. So if you are looking for joint support, you want to push for type 2 collagen, which is actually going to be higher in small cartilage-rich bones and joints. So that means chicken and turkey are going to have, a lot more of that type 2 collagen. We have lamb as well that also has smaller, what's the word I'm looking for? Squishier material that the cartilage, that's what's going to be broken down as we're, simmering that out. So if you're looking for joint support, definitely type 2 collagen, chicken, turkey, lamb.
Okay.
If you're looking for immune support, like immune system and supporting killer T cells and building that up, mushroom. If you're looking for, and then rabbit is going to be great for type 2 collagen as well.
Yeah. Small animal. Yeah.
If you're looking for gut support, you want those big collagen rich bones that are weight bearing, with knuckles and everything, because that's going to pull from there. And that's going to be your beef, your pork, bison. Those are going to be the more type 1, type 3 collagens that will push. And we have a blog about this on our website that you can read which protein to choose from for what thing. I break down each protein. And then there's also one about the collagen. So you can kind of read about both of those if there's something else that you're wondering and I maybe missed something. So yeah, if you have a pet with, IBD or, just struggling with digestive tract issues, I would say like starting with beef, pork, or bison would probably be good. I love the bison one. It is like kind of an all-in-one because you get the bones, you get the mushrooms, you get, the like nutrient density from the Brussels sprouts. And so that's kind of an all-encompassing broth to start with. And it has very unique ingredients.
Do you have anything with ginger in it?
No.
No? Okay.
I feel like a lot of broths contain ginger.
And
so it wasn't really one that I felt like
everybody else was doing it, so why do it, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I like ginger. Like I consume it a lot for myself right now, especially. But yeah, I know if there is somebody who specifically wants a broth with ginger, I don't want to speak for them, but maybe Green Juju has ginger in theirs. I don't know. Could be making that up, but I think and they have more isolated. They have some things in their broths. I think turmeric maybe. So it just kind of depends, but I just feel like what I heard quite a bit actually was that turmeric can be something that can be a little bit agitating to some dogs. So I kind of wanted to have a different option because they make some really specific, they also make pretty unique proteins. They have a venison broth. And so, I just feel like we don't have to overlap. We did do a holiday duck and they have a duck broth, but we infused it with like cranberries and cinnamon and sage. So I think we try to just be like different because what's the point in doing the same thing twice? So
no, exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Marcella, I hope that helps. So we go with the bison or the beef.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just awesome information. Now how much, if you were introducing to your cat, I tend to give my cats a little bit of bone broth and it's just plain from the farmer's market every week. But I pour just a little bit into their food each meal because again, it adds moisture and it tastes good. It just enhances that flavor. I understand that a lot of cats just love that. They need a little sense of smell. So it's got to be enticing, so don't necessarily give it cold. Warm it up in your pet's food bowl a little bit. Like put it in I warm up my cat's food and I fill up the sink with some hot water and I literally set their bowls in it for like 5 minutes just to warm it to like room temperature, or maybe a little bit warmer than that. But then it's more enticing and it has more of the scent, and it's more appealing to cats. Do you have any additional tips for cat parents?
I will definitely say that my cats are much less likely to consume it if it's out of the fridge. Anything that is, though. Like if I feed them raw and I get it out of the fridge and I put it in the bowl, like my cat Ovi, he's currently desperately trying to figure out how to get inside. He he will literally go outside and play and come back in and eat later. Like he doesn't want it. And so I think that's very important. And that also coincides with the like feeds like approach. So body temperature counts for that as well. So you have, body temperature, it's going to be less stress on your body.
Yes.
It goes for us humans as well. I go to the restaurant and I ask for no ice because, well, I'm also European, so that's probably part of it, but it's so cold and it also reduces blood flow for digestion in the stomach. It actually kind of like paralyzes it a little bit. It constricts that. So it's going to be more straining. And then the spleen is kind of your body's oven. So it's having to warm up and heat up the temperature to get that food to kind of be at a neutral level to where the body can properly utilize it and digest it. And digestive enzymes have a really good working temperature. And if it's too cold, they work too slow. And if it's too hot, they die. So it really needs to sit right in that, good mid temperature there.
Yeah.
And so when you warm up, or at least have it at room temperature for your dogs and cats, it's going so much better on their body. And what I do actually is I will, like my dogs eat gently cooked. So I'll get it out of the fridge and I will heat up the bone broth. I literally will pour half a bottle in, I have 4 dogs, half a bottle in the little saucepan on the stove and it warms up in like under 60 seconds. And I will pour that over the cold food and it'll kind of just like neutralize everything. It'll just kind of like neutralize the temperature.
Yeah.
So you're going, you're kind of just meeting it in the middle. And that's an easy way to do it as well because I know we can all be in a rush. It can be, you know, just like I feed my dogs once a day, and I always want to like set it out first and put it on the counter, and then I have to somehow counter that back. So, yeah, warming up, I think, is definitely a good idea for storage purposes. You know, you look at the bottle, and we are hopefully going to be able to do smaller bottles for cat parents specifically.
Mhm.
We actually kind of want to dip into cat specific broths. So who knows if, you know, when and how we're going to do all that. But
That's
what
awesome.
you can do storage wise is freeze them into ice cube, freeze half of the bottle or 3/4 of the bottle into ice cube trays, and then thaw a couple ice cubes at a time when you need them in a mason jar, because you have to use the broth within 7 to 10 days. If you have one cat, you feed like a teaspoon a day, it's not going to happen. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, so you can literally just freeze it. You can even like melt that ice cube in the saucepan and have it hot, ready to go over the food if your cat likes it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, even getting the broth into your cat before they eat, let's say they eat wet food or raw food or a cooked food of some sort, and they don't want it mixed, it's still great to feed it as like an appetizer, because you're getting all of those nutrients in the gut. You're activating the gut to start working,
Yes.
and you're coating the gut lining with that collagen, and you're really like encouraging the body to heal before the food even comes in.
That's
So.
a great idea. Yeah, some cats just like to drink it plain, and
Yeah.
other cats won't touch it unless it's mixed in their food. So I love how our cats are always challenging us with,
Yes.
you know, mealtime can be a little challenging depending on the cat.
Yep.
Yeah. Does anybody over here have any questions for Flo in our chat? I know that Barbara says nuggets bone brew contains ginger and turmeric.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. And then Betsy says, awesome show. Hi, Pam. Hi, Betsy. And Marcella says, thank you. That's what she wanted to know.
Great.
And then Maggie up here says, hello from Okanagan Valley, British Columbia, Canada. So thank you very much.
Oh, there. We don't ship there yet. Sorry.
Sorry, maybe some wish list, right?
Yeah.
Taylor over here says Marvy. So must be somebody that Marvy.
Oh yeah, that's my best friend Taylor.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, she's about to get a puppy next week, and she's
fun.
So excited. We've been talking all things food and toppers and supplements and all.
Yes.
So she was excited to watch.
I would say if I had to like summarize everything, if you wanted to just start experimenting with one addition to your cat's diet, start with bone broth.
Yes.
Bone broth. Take a bone broth, and just because you can't really go wrong with it. There's so many benefits, you guys. Just a teaspoon. Start with a teaspoon, maybe work up to a tablespoon a meal, you know, just start introducing these things to your cat, because we don't have to do everything. If we just start with one thing, this is an easy thing, and it's food. It's not even a supplement, right?
Yeah. The one thing that I think that we should touch on is what bone broth is good, because you can't, I mean, yes, you can go to the grocery store, but especially cats, you want to avoid, you know, you probably will, I mean, it just depends on what your budget allows, you know, but like there's bone broths you can buy at the store, but I will tell you that most likely they are produced in mass quantities. The bones that they use, you don't really know where they come from. A lot of them have onion, a lot of them, and way too much salt. So you go to the grocery store and that's what you can afford. There cannot be onion in there. There should be low or no sodium.
Right.
A lot of them, though, are just going to be, you know, overboiled, like 450 degrees, cooked for 5 hours and bottled. So, you know, and then a lot of them are also in like the plastic lined cartons. So you have leaking from the plastic into the product, and they sit there for a long time. So just keep those things in mind. And I'm happy to help with, you know, any product checking to make sure that they are appropriate and good. Like, I don't even care if it's ours or not. Like, I just, you know, like I said, even if you can just do water, do water. But bone broth is, generally speaking, just kind of like this super food all around, you know, beneficial topper that can make a huge difference very quickly too. So
yes, absolutely. Well, we are about to wrap up. Can you tell people where they can find your amazing bone broth and your website and where they can follow you?
Yes, we are on Instagram and Facebook at Crude Carnivore. And then our website is crudecarnivore.com. Pretty straightforward. And we have shipped to Canada like once or twice successfully, but it's kind of been something that I'm putting off because it's a big thing. But yeah, that's where we're at. And yeah, if you subscribe, you get 15% off your first purchase. And we also have subscription options where it just ships straight to your door. So we try to make it as easy as possible.
That's awesome. Well, this has been so cool. Thank you so much for joining us and
thank you.
It's all about the reasons why we should be feeding our cats bone broth. So I challenge all of our viewers, whether you're watching us live or you're watching a replay, start dipping your toes into the bone broth.
Yep.
Let's start incorporating a little bit of bone broth into our cats' diets and just know that and try Crude Carnivore to explore some of their recipes because she's done a lot of the work for you and cultivating these herbs and these infusions with specific purposes. So you can kind of match whatever issue, condition, ailment your cat might be struggling with. And just let's start keeping a journal and tracking like how they do on it. And then let her know because we always love feedback. And if you have any ideas, we're entrepreneurs. I know she appreciates, she's probably
I up for whatever
ideas, and taking feedback from clients and everything. So, yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, let me know if anybody has any questions. Just reach out. What to pick, what your worries are, and we can figure something out. I'm also happy to share all of our nutrient profiles with you. So if you are worried about a certain nutrient, I'm happy to share our guaranteed analysis for those things with you.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to be back next month for more fun with Rita Hogan. But in the meantime,
exciting.
I love her so much.
I know. Me too.
But thank you guys so much for being here and keep us posted. If you do try the Crude Carnivore broths, let us know what your thoughts are. Post a little comment in here and reach out to Flo and let her know how your cat is doing on it. So anyway, thank you, Flo, so much for joining us, and everyone else, thank you for being here, and we will see you again really soon. Thank you. Bye, everyone.